Hola clase, aquí están sus apuntes sobre mandatos, commands, the imperative, el imperativo, all refer to the same thing. How do we form commands? Well, we pretty much form them exactly the same way as we form the present subjunctive for all subjects. Of course, you know there are going to be a few exceptions to that, but pretty much otherwise you just drop the O, opposite ending. As far as a simple explanation, let's talk about those exceptions. Exception to the rule, of course, you know, is affirmative to commands, because affirmative to commands actually take the he, she indicative form of the verb. Comer would be como, comes, come. You want to tell someone to eat their vegetables or something along those lines, the affirmative to command would just be come. Also an exception we've been talking about lately are your affirmative vosotros commands, because all you do is take off the R from the infinitive and add the letter D. That's all you do for affirmative to and affirmative vosotros commands. Otherwise, the negatives and all other commands take the present subjunctive, drop the O, opposite ending. Oh, speaking of these vosotros commands, if I take off the R of hablar and add a D, there's the vosotros command. There's the vosotros command. And there's the vosotros command. All right, one more exception. Affirmative nosotros commands are supposed to be the same as the present subjunctive, and they are. There's just one exception. Ir has to be difficult. Its command should be vayamos, because that's the same as the subjunctive for it, but instead it's just vamos. Sorry about that. Okay, let's talk about pronoun placement. All normal pronoun placement rules apply. Attach a pronoun at the end of an affirmative command between the no and the command for negative commands. But here are the exceptions. If you're attaching two pronouns to a one-syllable command, you need an accent on the command. If you're attaching just one, like an asla, no accent. But if you're attaching two, asmela, you need an accent on the command. Another exception. If you have a nosotros or vosotros command in the affirmative and you need to attach a reflexive pronoun, so nos to a nosotros command or os to a vosotros command, and also anytime you need to use the pronoun se so as to not be a lelo, you will first drop the final consonant, which means you'll drop the S at the end of amos or amos, or the D at the end of the vosotros command. An example. If I was just giving the affirmative command of ir in the nosotros, it's just vamos. But if I want to give the affirmative nosotros command of irse, before I attach that nos reflexive pronoun, I have to drop the S, and it's going to become vamonos, because I drop the S, attach the nos, and we still need an accent on the penultimate syllable, not counting the pronoun. Let's look at a vosotros command. Levantar means to lift or pick something up, so the vosotros command is levantar. But if I want to say get yourself up, get up, before I attach os, I have to drop the D, and I get levantaos. Where does the accent go, you might ask? Well, of course, vosotros commands are difficult, and they won't follow the rules as far as accents go. We'll see that on our next page of notes. And one exception to this rule being drop the D before adding os, is ir again. Ir always has to be difficult. So the affirmative vosotros command is just id of ir, but if I want to use the affirmative vosotros command of ir se, it keeps the D. It should be gone, but that's what makes it an exception. I take id and add the os. Let's talk about those vosotros commands and accents. Okay, as you guys might have just noticed when I showed you the affirmative command of levantarse for the vosotros, it was levantaos. So that shows you that there is no accent when attaching one pronoun to an AR or ER affirmative vosotros command, including the os. But you do need to place an accent on the I for IR verbs if you're attaching os. This is what this looks like. Okay, if I want to attach a pronoun to hablar, no accent. I drop the D if I'm adding os, only if I'm adding os or se, but there is no accent. If I attach one pronoun to comed, no accent. Of course, if I was attaching os, I would drop the D first, but since I'm adding a direct object pronoun, it stays there. But let's look at what happens to escribir. When I attach os to it, first, of course, I drop the D, but I also add an accent to the letter I. If I were to have added los, no accent. It just happens if I'm attaching os. But if you're attaching two pronouns to a vosotros command, you now need an accent on the A for AR verbs and the E for ER verbs. And you'll still have one on the I for IR verbs if you are attaching two pronouns. So, what will these look like? Accent goes on the A for an AR verb, accent on the E for an ER verb, and again, accent on the I for an IR verb. And if you're attaching os, you still drop the letter D. If you're attaching something else, you do not need to drop the letter D. If you have questions, bring them with you to class. Ciao.